Hello folks and welcome to the Vertigo Tea Party and Let's Play Production Line. Let's go ahead and get started with a brand new game. I will explain the mechanics as we go along. I kind of want to get started though pretty quickly. Gonna pause here. This is a pretty neat little game. I've played it a couple hours. I've gotten like one successful factory going, and I'm going to try something a little different. One, because, well, actually the main reason, well, one is to just try something different, and two is because this method that I'm going to be using will make it a little bit easier to kind of explain what I'm doing as we go along. We're gonna put the quality check right here. We're gonna stack this stuff up. So basically the idea of this game, if you've never played it before, is that you're producing, or you're creating a factory line, a production line, if you will, for cars. And you want to be as efficient as possible, obviously, so you can make as much money as possible. And as you might imagine, there are upgrades you can get. Starting off, you only can build very basic cars and very basic stations with which to put those cars together. But as you progress, you can unlock new upgrades for the car and for your line itself, so that your conveyor belts move faster. You can actually build out these things like the chassis assembly. Instead of being one block of building, you can actually have multiple smaller parts that ironically do it faster, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So I did everything in reverse order on purpose there, because things have to be in a specific order, and it's per the menu. So the chassis assembly has to go first, followed by the body fits, the paint, the engine, the accessories, electronics, the quality check, and finally the export to the showroom. So we're going to get the conveyor started here. Luckily, you don't really have to connect this to anything in particular. You can just throw it wherever and they will start building your chassis. So we're going to build some conveyor belts to pull the cars along, and this all makes more sense once we actually get some cars moving. And we also need actual resources in order to build the cars, as you might imagine. And we can use a resource in import. Actually, we're going to do it dual side, so we have plenty of resources. So any of these windows here, these small windows, you can use one of these resource importers, and this brings in everything you need: seats, steel, all the good stuff. We're going to use a conveyor to connect them. It does switch over to this very handy interface. Let's do it this way. I do really like this interface quite a lot. It's very self-explanatory. It's very easy to tell. There's no questioning. Am I connected up to this particular resource point? You know that you've done it. And obviously these red points are parts on the station. I forget what they call these stations. It's got a weird name. But these various areas where they put the car together have to be connected with these with the accessories, or these resources. So anyway, we've got started. We're going to do on the fast speed. So this is kind of the medium, not normal, but not the fastest speed. Obviously, you can also pause it because that's what I was just doing. We're going to keep an eye on our money though. If our money drops to zero, there is no like, oh, you're in the red. You better get it back up within 6 months. Insta lose. So we have to be careful with that. So while everything gets filled up here with resources so we can start building our cars, I'll explain the UI real quick. This is going to be the power. Right now, as far as I can tell, power isn't related to anything. Eventually, you'll have to manage it, maybe build some power generators, things like that. But right now, as far as I can tell, the power used doesn't affect anything whatsoever. So kind of have fun with it. And by the way, this game is early access. So things that I mentioned, like, oh, I wish this was different, or I don't like this, or I think this way this is set up is bad. Keep in mind, it's all in context that it's early access and that a lot of this can and probably will change. So that just goes back out to the menu. This is just your general settings. This is just save. We'll call this Tea Party Motors. Saves very quickly. I like that. We have our research here. Now we don't have anybody to research yet, so we're not going to go into the research trees just yet. This is where you can build everything. You've seen this a little bit before. Like I mentioned, you've got the chassis assembly, the body fit, etc. And if we click plus next to that, you can actually see this stuff can be broken down further. So for example, right now I have my fit body section here, and I'll zoom in so you can actually see it building the cars. Right now we just have this all in one big section. So it puts on the body, it puts the roof, and it puts the doors on. It does all of that. which is nice because it's in one small little section. However, as you progress, you'll want to break these things down. So for example, you'll want a section that does nothing but puts the doors on. The reason for that is twofold. One, it will be able to do it faster because they'll be built around machines that do nothing but put doors on. The other reason is because when you get upgrades, things like automatic windows, heated seats, things like that, you have to have a special module that builds only the required parts. But we're not going to worry too much about that right now, but that is how that is going to play out later on. Let's see, we got all of that. We got some other facilities. I've only done the research offices. The research, as you might imagine, generates research points, which you can use to buy upgrades. Advanced manufacturing. What's very interesting about this game is initially you import pretty much everything but the car itself. Windows, doors, seats, tires, all of that. Later on, if you want to, you can actually make that kind of stuff. The seats, the servos, the sensors. And you might ask why you would do that. I think it's cheaper to do it that way. And theoretically, you can produce them yourselves faster than you can actually bring them in. You can also have a supply stockpile. I don't really use this much, but it's useful when certain machines start to run low on resources. And let's see, we got our first car done. Actually, we might have already had one. This shows you your showroom. All the cars that have been exported are in the showroom until they're sold, which you can see we actually just sold that one. Here you've got, oh no, that's in the showroom. Oop, close that out. Here's our designs. This is the sedan, and this is all the features that it has. Right now, obviously, very, very little in the way of features. And you can also change your price, whether you want to reduce or increase. I think our cars are great. We're going to increase the premium just a little bit. This game right now does have kind of that typical sim problem, or sim management problem, where it's like, okay, at 45%, I can't keep cars in the showroom. They sell, like, they fly off the lot. But the minute I do one little increase up to 50%, nobody will buy a single car. There isn't really a happy medium, right? It's either you've crossed that invisible threshold where everybody wants to buy one, into absolutely nobody will buy one almost no matter how long you reasonably sit there. So a lot of that is finding that threshold, at least right now. Again, I'm sure that'll change. Right now that is at 45%. You can see your efficiency. Now this is where you want to really keep up on things, because this game is big on efficiency, and I do love efficiency. This will show you kind of where things are falling apart. Right now, our main issues seem to be waiting for the next vehicle, and running, which is actually good. Theoretically, you want running to be the entire graph. Now, actually making running your entire graph would be very difficult, because that means all machines are running at 100% optimality. In other words, every machine is always doing something. Right now, if we zoom out, we can actually kind of see where our weak points are. Right here at the fit engine, this looks like this is taking a little while. We can also click on that. We can see it's actually running a lot of the time, and it's occasionally waiting for resources, but other than that, it's mostly okay. The paint is running almost all the time. That's also waiting for resources. We got a few places that are waiting for resources, we're noticing. And now in this, on the other side, this chassis assembly is always waiting for a new slot. You see, it's hard to see, I'm sure, but these chassis are always waiting for that to complete. So that's not good. So first things first, let's try to get rid of this resource issue. So I'm going to build another resource conveyor, or importer rather, down here. And we can hook them up. Oops. There we go. I was like, wait a minute, something's not right. It's not switching over. And I haven't quite figured out what's the most efficient yet to either make dual lines. So like maybe have one line come down this way, another line come down this way, and then have them crisscrossed a little bit. I haven't quite figured that out yet. I would think that, because I don't think multiple items can run on the same rail at the same time. So in other words, if I had items that need to go this way and I've got items coming this way, I would think they can't share the same rail. So with that said, let's go ahead and let's do what I was talking about before. Let's actually make a dual rail system here. And let's see how well that ends up working out. We still got 465,000, not too shabby. Got a new loan available for the bank. We will probably be doing that soon. This last icon, by the way, is just achievements. Not really going to worry too much about that. And you do have your standard charts showing your income expenses. Then it breaks those things down, the income and the expenses, what's costing you X amount, blah, blah, blah. Imports. Actually, I guess I've never seen this. What resource component you're importing from a third party and how much you're spending. In general, you will be more efficient if you can import just raw materials and manufacture as many components as possible. Okay, that's good to know, but we're not going to worry about it too much. This also even gives us a breakdown of the actual things that we are going to be buying, like brakes, door panels, engine blocks, etc. And this will be our loans, which we don't really need just yet. So, normally or at least what I did in my last game, I say that like I've been playing this a lot. What I did before was I built a very basic thing to get going, and then I put like a lot of my money into research. This time, I want to try something a little different. I want to try just mass producing like lower quality cars to get money going. Let's see if we can afford to do that, if we can make a second assembly line here. This may or may not work. This is kind of an experimental thing, so I'm definitely not a master of the game again. I've only played twice. Once I kind of locked myself up because I didn't quite understand how the mechanics work. In the second game, I've got an amazing money churning factory. So 67,000. I'm trying to figure out how much this is going to cost. So 67, 240, 290, 390-ish. All right, we should have the money. If not, we can always just get another. We can get a loan. That's the American way, right? If we can't afford it, just get a loan. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this one just straight across from this. We'll leave one little space just in case. No pun intended. I will go ahead and pause. I always like to pause whenever I'm doing something major like this. But yeah, I'm curious if this strategy is going to work, because my other strategy actually did, luckily, worked out very well. The thing is that you have to factor in, and this is probably going to be an issue. Oh, good thing we paused it because we could have actually just lost. We need to. Where is the loan? Let's get this. The shortest term loan, 330. Let's do this one for now. We may or may not have enough for this because we still have to put the railings and whatnot. So fit engine, accessories. I like the arrows. The arrows make it very clear where things go. Middle mouse button, by the way, by default, is what rotates things. We don't want to rotate this, but... And I am going to save it again. I'm going to save quite a few times at the beginning. Did I spell motors right? It's one of those words, I'm looking at it and it doesn't look right, but I think it's right. Fit electronics, quality check. Now this might be a little tricky. I might have... No, I think we're good. Because now if we bring this conveyor over here, they'll share an export. And we shouldn't get too backed up on exports, I don't think. That takes a long time, so I'm not overly concerned about it, but that might end up hurting us in the long term. We'll find out. But there's research that you can get to make the exports go a little bit faster. And there's all kinds of things to research in this game, so there's definitely no lack of that. All right, so let's get these guys the bare bones for resources right now, just because we are, you know, a little bit deeper in the money debts than I would have preferred. I will go ahead and pull this out here. And we are going to run at a normal speed for the time being. You don't have to worry about employee management. That is not really part of the game. You don't do anything with the employees. You don't have to build employee recreational rooms. You don't have to worry about their 401ks. You don't have to worry about any drama starting around the water cooler, which is nice. I think some people might be disappointed that that's not really an aspect of this game, that it's purely about building the lines and making them efficient, making money. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm happy with it just being this. And just to be absolutely clear here, there's definitely a lot more to this than it looks like. Yes, these might not seem like very complicated lines, but I was playing on this very same stage, and I had a single line that took up if I compacted it, would have taken up about this much space. And that's all of these lines for a single, or all of these production points, if you will, for a single line. Because like I said, all of these things, the chassis, or almost all of them, the chassis assembly, the fit body, the paint, can all be broken down into like 3 to 4 parts. The fit body in particular, I think there's like, I want to say like 6 parts for the body. So it can get pretty wieldy as far as space. So let's go ahead and bring the speed up again. Let's see how we're doing. Getting a few insufficient resource warnings. We're not keeping any cars in the showroom, so that means I want to pump the price up. We might want to go it up just a little bit. Now, one big thing about this game is the features on your car. So let's say that you're the first person to research sunroofs. All right, so when you first get sunroofs on your car, nobody else has them yet, so it's a premium item. So in other words, maybe, once everybody has them, or if half the other companies have sunroofs, maybe you only get $100 for them. But because you're the first person or the first company to have sunroofs on your cars, then they're worth $200 as an addition to the car. So you can actually make a premium on researching things like that first. However, the opposite is true as well. So if, let's say, you don't research sunroofs and everybody else does, and you're the last company to get them, you're actually penalized for not having sunroofs, because at that point, the sunroofs would be considered standard. Let's actually go to pump the speed up here a little bit more. You're actually being penalized. Think about buying a car today that didn't have power steering, or a car that didn't have electric locks or electric windows. That's unfathomable. Imagine going to a car lot and they're like, well, this car is nice, brand new 2017 model, but you have to actually turn the handle to make the windows go up and down. That would be madness. Nobody would do that. Nobody does that. So it's kind of that same idea. So obviously, if that car was being sold, it would be a major knock to the price to not have that. So it's the same principle here. So my idea of the last game, where I did very, very research heavy right out of the start gate, was to get all of the sweet features before everybody else so that I could charge a premium for my car. This way, what I want to do is just mass produce cars and see if I can't make up that difference just by pure volume, just like how I do my YouTube channel. No quality, no editing, none of that nonsense. I just produce lots and lots of videos for you to watch. Much easier process. We'll see if that actually ends up working out for either me or Tea Party Motors here. So we're doing okay on money. We're kind of getting to the point where we're sort of breaking even a little bit. So let's actually increase the price a little bit. Now, again, anytime you increase the price, you've really got to be careful, because sometimes I've increased it by one little tick. Again, you can only increase in 5% increments. And I've forgotten to check, and all of a sudden I've got a showroom full of cars that I cannot sell. And it does randomize the colors. I don't think the color matters at all. As far as I can tell, it's just so that you can distinguish between different cars. And it'd be pretty boring if every car looked exactly the same. And you can research new body styles. Like there's like a compact car. There's also like a sedan. Or wait, no, this is a sedan, right? Yeah, sedan. There's also a, what is it? It's way down here. As you can see, tons of stuff to research. SUV. So we're still selling. Obviously, it's a little bit slower, but we're making a little bit more profit. So right now, I'm actually okay with keeping that. We're probably going to go ahead and get a loan, though, very soon. And I'm thinking about making a third line. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just get loans. One thing I don't like is that you cannot repay loans early. Go ahead and just get us a big loan, get the big money, and I'll make the same line here. And then once we do this, I'm going to see how this is doing money-wise, and we might actually start doing the research angle. This is one of those games where I definitely feel like once you kind of get things going, it's really fun to just sit back and just kind of look at your lines, look at them like mass producing stuff. It's really fun. It's got that. What other game am I thinking of? There's a lot of games like this where you you build your city or you build your village or you build whatever, and then you kind of get it self-sustaining and you can just kind of sit back and watch it. Because when I was first watching videos of this game, honestly, I was like, whoa, like this game looks way overwhelming, because you're looking at these videos, and of course all the videos show the game at, like, you know, near the end, so that you've got all these moving parts and these cars are going all over there, the robots are welding like crazy, and you're like, oh my god, this game looks super complicated. And it's just one of those games that once you play it and you play it bit by bit and you understand it, it's not that difficult to understand the basics. But when you step back and see what you've done, it's like, oh wow, like this is really, really neat. So I might actually want another quality check down here, but for now I'm going to say no. We'll have them all share a quality check, and we might end up getting backed up on that, but that's fine. I actually was off. Did I forget something? There's chassis assembly, body, paint, engine, accessories, electronics. Oh, I did put a quality check here, my bad. I thought I skipped that I thought I put that at the end too. And you can sell things, like, so for example, if I need to, like, oh, I didn't need this, you can right click on this and you can sell it back. You don't get all of your money back, but you do get some of it. Let's actually make another resource importer, and at that point we're gonna really start to need to focus on what's hurting us. Let's go with this one. We got 196,000 left. Let's go ahead and get these conveyors rather. And again, ideally I'd like to get them all combined, right? Because this way they can all share. We're gonna need another loan. I usually take the 3 loans right away. I just kind of wanted to see what I could do without taking them, but we're actually getting fairly close here. Let's stop that. Nope, come on. There we go. This is actually going to be kind of close. We might have to lower the price of our cars just so we can sell them. Let's do this for now, not optimal. Let's see what happens. Take a little bit of a risk here. Next slot not found. Oh, so one thing you do have to be careful with is things like this happen. And this does not help. I screwed this up. I should have checked this a while back. So the reason is there's no, like, car turner here. So that's easy to fix. You just kind of drag this, and there you go. So yeah, I hurt myself really bad right there by not checking this. See how badly the cars have gotten backed up? That is no bueno. I definitely got to watch that. So, because that's one reason I didn't bother looking at the export, right? Was because I was like, oh, well, the export doesn't look backed up, it's fine. And I didn't notice that they weren't getting sent to exports from this second line. So our export's gonna start to back up a bit. I think I'm gonna lower the price of the cars here very soon if they don't start to sell. This is where I'm talking about too. And granted, we're also going at a slower speed, but this is where I talked about before where, like, once you kind of tick that one little mark over, cars just, they don't sell. Like, they might sell one in a great while, but you go from selling one every couple of seconds to one every couple of minutes. And I'm talking like real life seconds and minutes. So they don't really seem to be selling all that well, even at this speed, or even at slower speed. So we're gonna reduce it back to 45. Now watch, they'll probably sell much. Yeah, we already all sold 2 immediately, pretty much. So hopefully that gets smoothed out a little bit. That seems kind of silly that there's such a very fine threshold. We're gonna go ahead and pump the speed up too. I think we can keep a steady flow of cars going. Oh, well, we actually missed a conveyor belt here. That's not good. Guess we could carry the cars across. Ahem. There we go. I will say, this game, as far as quality of life stuff and just general UI interface things, I've actually been quite pleased with, especially given that it's an early access. I was expecting that kind of stuff to be a lot more haphazard, and I was expecting a lot less information when I hover over things like in research, it does a fairly good job. Like a lot of this stuff, like this might not make sense right now. Unlock slot, fit body shell, unlock slot, fit hood. But once you mess around with it a little bit, it makes itself clear pretty quickly. But yeah, simple like things like dragging out the roads, the interface being very, very clear as to what's connected and what's not. That kind of stuff has been really, really well done so far. So let's go ahead and crank it up again. So you're probably going to see this start to get behind. We keep getting pop-ups for insufficient resources. So let's take a look where our problems lie. Again, one of our big ones is waiting for the next vehicle. So that means either, well, generally that's going to mean that the machine before it isn't pumping the stuff out fast enough. Again, this in particular, this chassis assembly is, I love how this updates in real time, by the way. That's freaking awesome. But you can see a lot of times it's waiting for next slot. So we want to get this fit body sped up somehow. So that's where your upgrades come in. And I was actually kind of using that to kill a little bit of time. I want to get at least one research thing going. They are fairly expensive. Let's go here to the research office. They're 49,000, and you can put them wherever you want. But I like to put them by the cars. I like to think that the cars going by is motivation because they get to see their work going by. So we don't have any research yet. I'm going to pause the game. I always pause whenever I do anything like research, just any game. So let's show all research. And what we want to focus on right now is, like I said, right now I just want to focus on cheap cars, mass producing cheap cars. So we're not going to worry too much about car upgrades so much as we're going to worry about making cars faster. So first thing, more robots. This is a great one. Only 400 research points, and it will allow me to buy upgrades for any station that uses robots, which is probably like 80% of them, roughly. More robots means making stuff faster, and that can hopefully shore up some of our inefficiencies. But this is kind of what I was talking about before though, right? Where these chassis are waiting to get into the fit body, and it's taking it a long time because the fit body parts, you can see all the stages that this fit body station has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, like 13 things it has to do here. Right, so I think it actually tells you somewhere. There it does. So it's fitting the body shell, then it fits the hood, the trunk, the bumper. So a lot of things going on here. So you can kind of see why this gets backed up really bad here. So if I were to break this out into substations, again, they would do it faster because they're more tooled to doing that one thing, that one specific thing. And we will do that, by the way, at least on one line here. Oh, next slot not found. Oh, see, I did it again. Got lost in the game. Wait a minute. Why is this? How is that not next slot not found? I don't know why. That should not be a problem. Maybe this is a... Did I do this the wrong direction? Oh, I did. Okay, so that is one thing. This is actually the first time it's only ever been an issue for me. So this is the first time this has ever happened to me. So when you drag the conveyor, the direction matters. So I just wasted a ton of money. So we need to drag this out here because that's the way the conveyor will run. And now we will drag this way. And you can see the little yellow arrows indicate which way direction they're going. It's still not liking that. Are we okay? We're paused right now. I don't know why it does not like that. Is there one that oh, I think. All right, let's try dragging these out. Maybe I screwed that up. That, or it doesn't, it might not like this. Do you like that? Ah, there we go. Okay, I must have like one block must have been going the wrong direction. Okay, so I made the same mistake again because making a mistake once isn't enough. See, I'm just making these mistakes to teach you guys. I mean, I saw it from the start. I was wanting to see if you guys noticed, obviously. All right, so anyway, so you've got that going. We've got our research going. You can click on the research area and it'll tell you like how far they are in the current research. You can only research one thing at a time. If you want to show all your research, this will tell you how many research points you're generating at any given time. Right now, we're only getting 0.1 points, but that's only because we have one research lab. Once we get a little bit more money, like a little bit more of a safety net, we can put a little bit more into that. We see actually have a lot of cars in the showroom. So if we really need cash, if we really need some liquid assets, we could go ahead and lower the price of the cars even more. Since we're really pumping them out, I think in this case, that would be beneficial. We can always raise it later, but for the time being, let's go ahead and pump out some general cars. Now, right now, this strategy is going to work for us, no problem, because nobody else really has any kind of higher end research that we're competing with, right? So nothing on our car is devalued because it's missing power locks or sunroofs or whatever. Eventually this strategy might start to fail though. So that's where I'm curious to see how this pans out. And again, you can put these like wherever you want. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna put at least 2 more. And you can actually hold shift. You can flip these around again with the middle mouse button. I don't want to put anything there because I might want to put another line over there. Actually, I would probably buy that one first. So let's just go ahead and put these guys here. And put another one. We'll just put them here. Not 100% the most efficient, but I'm not quite sure how I want to do my layout just yet. So now we're researching a little bit faster. I'll probably focus on more robots. I'm going to go ahead and pump speed up to 3 now. Now that I feel safe, that we're making good money. We got 2 cars in the showroom. I'm okay with having a few. If you have 0, it feels like you don't have enough. So we got that research done. I want to go with even more robots. That sounds good. So again, let's go ahead and take a look where our weak points are. You guys definitely need to get some extra robots, which increases the speed by 10%. I'm gonna do that on all of these body shops. They're not too expensive, but I mean, when you consider that you'll want to do them on several locations, it can get a little bit pricey. I'm not gonna bother upgrading this chassis assembly because they're already building faster than these other areas can keep up with. So there's no point. It's just a waste of money at this point. Now later on, sure. But it actually does update graphically as well. So you actually have 2 of these little guys. So far, I'm liking this strategy. I feel like we kind of want to wait until almost like we have until 600,000 or so and make yet another cheaper line to really take advantage of this strategy. Now, see, here we go. Now the other company's starting to research stuff. They've got the in-car music. Right now, it's rare, so it doesn't really hurt us that we don't have it. Once that technology becomes common or universal, that's when it starts to hurt us. Let's go with even more robots. Why not? Robots are fun. Let's give you guys even more robots. And you'll want to check back, right? To make sure it's not just like, okay, well, I put robots in there, all my problems are solved. Not necessarily, because now you see, oh, I'm running out of resources. What am I running out of? One thing I wish it would keep track of a little bit better is what you're running out of. You can see up here if it'll have like a little X on it if it needs something that you're missing. And right now it's actually doing all right, of course. And you can see our graph looks really good. It's running constantly. But we're still going to have this problem over here, right? This one is still a lot of time waiting for the next slot. So chassis can actually build really, really quick. Wow, that was huge. That was almost the entire graph of just waiting for the next slot. And I think that's just about, oh, well, other than the next stage of robots. We'll see if that'll help. I see, and because this is never really waiting on the next slot, I really don't have it's never waiting for a slot, which means the item in front of it is holding it up. I don't really even need to upgrade this unless this waiting for next vehicle. We'll keep an eye on it here for a second. Let's see if it's going to wait for the next vehicle. Let's see how long it takes. Yep, it's definitely too long. Oh, this one actually, paint does not use robots. So robots does not help there. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to actually robotize this entire line where we can. Except for the chassis. Because the chassis, like I say, is definitely not going to benefit us in any way because they are grossly backed up. Okay, I didn't think the quality check. Can't upgrade quality check in any way, which is kind of a bummer. All right, 527,000. Not doing too bad. We got 2 cars in the showroom. But you can kind of see where I'm talking about. And this is just the beginning. Again, this is just the beginning. But you can kind of see where I'm talking about where, like, once things really get going, you can, like, just sit back and kind of enjoy watching the robots build the cars and all your employees just stand around and watch the robots make the cars. Apparently that is fun because even they like to do that. But I probably will start researching the components that I need in order to break down one of the assembly lines to one, just to make it more efficient, and 2, show you how it works. This is, by the way, this is going to be a fairly short series. I'm either going to play until we lose, or until I get to the point where I feel like, okay, we've done pretty much everything. We've got most of the upgrades that we care about. There isn't like a ton more reason to keep playing. Let's go. Actually, you know what I want to do? I want to increase the efficiency of our factory. So that means, where is that? Improved efficiency. Some of these things that you research don't do anything by themselves, like improved efficiency. There's no benefit we get from this. However, it unlocks a lot of things that we can make the factory more efficient. Faster conveyor belts, faster resource, what are these things called again? Resource conveyors, things of that nature. But anyway, as far as the series, it's probably going to be around 3 to 5 videos, somewhere in there. Just like I say, get to the kind of the point where I feel like, okay, we've done it. We're making a ton of money. We've got most things researched, blah, 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 blah. So we have 650,000. So again, other companies are starting to research stuff. So I'm curious to see how well this strategy actually holds out. Because eventually, we're going to have to start heavily discounting our cars, I think, in order for people to buy them. Because they don't want these old cars that don't have all these cool newfangled features like air conditioning or heaters or power windows. Let's go with faster resource imports. I feel like conveyors are very important to your infrastructure. So that's why I want to focus on those pretty early on. I can almost build a third rack. By the way, you can have multiple export points as well. We're not limited to just this one. You know what? I'm thinking we're going to do it. Let's wait until... Is that a resource import? Resource conveyor? No, I think is that an export? Some of these doors can be a little bit difficult to tell the difference between them. Okay, that is an export. Interesting. So I could actually build another line like right here. And I might do just that. Because I feel like that could utilize our existing conveyor network a little bit better. Let's wait until we get about 700,000. But I'm pretty happy with our sales right now. Doing pretty good. As you can see, we're not keeping cars into the showroom very long, which is a good. You do not want them stockpiling. Especially at a 45% premium, it's not too bad. All right, let's go ahead and build another line. And let's go with faster overhead conveyors to get the resources out faster. I love the upgrades of the conveyor speeds just to watching them fly through. All right, let's build another. And what we're going to do, I think, is this will probably be... Well, we can actually probably put one more line in, and we'll probably end up expanding somewhere. And the reason I put extra space in here is I wanted to try some stuff with building my own components at some point, if it becomes necessary, because the negative, if you will, with this strategy is we need a lot of resources. Because we're building so many cars, we need a ton of resources. I'll go ahead and put that there. No reason not to. I'll go ahead and pause, because again, I don't really like to... Well, you know, screw it, just go. That's fine. That way we're making money while we're building it. That's the way to think of it. Chassis, fit body. And don't write this game off if you haven't already. I hope you haven't. Think, oh, this is simple. You just put all those little components in a line and pump out cars and you're set. Definitely not that simple. It does get more complicated as you research more stuff. I'm doing things the super easy way right now, and it might not work out forever. We're down to 300,000. Let's go ahead with... Faster conveyor is not really important with the way we're built right now. The conveyor's distance that they have to go is very, very short. So that's not going to help us very much at all. Let's go with turbocharged overhead conveyors. One, because resources getting to the desired locations faster is good. And two, because I just like watching them fly around. Bit electronics quality check. And we're actually going to build another export over here just so I don't have to have conveyor go all the way up here. I feel like that would be silly. See, an export still, even with 3 lines going into it, is still getting them out faster than is necessary. And I almost want to... Nah, never mind. Let's go ahead and build an export. I almost was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and just send them over there. But no, it's not. Especially since we're not getting conveyor speed, I'd rather just make them go faster. Gotta go... Oh, bloody hell. Yep, I screwed that up, didn't I? Alright, which one of these can I fix? I got these out of alignment. Of course, I can't do this, can I? Let's see. I don't think that will fit. Of course, so we have to get rid of everything else. Boy, that sucks. I should have saved it first. I do wish when you sold stuff, if it hasn't been used, you could just get it back, like all the money back. Because in this game in particular, that kind of thing is a serious problem. Now, that's honestly the only time I ever made that particular error. But like, it's very easy, especially when you start to get these stations that can be broken up into multiple stations, it can become a serious problem because you don't know how much room you need initially, and then later on when you research those stations, those components. Let me look at what the name of it is so I can actually use the correct name. That way we're all on the same terms. Yes, they're called slots. Kind of a silly name, and maybe that's what the professional term is, but all of these areas that produce or like work on a part of the car basically is called a slot. So when you research slots that are broken down parts of the bigger slots, so again, going back to the body section where it splits up into doors, roof, bumpers, stuff like that, it can be a pain to try to figure out how much space you need. And you have to kind of like, you put something down, it's like, oh, well, damn it, I needed more room. And you end up screwing yourself up. So I do wish that if you put something down and you didn't use it, you could immediately bring it back. Like you could just sell it if it's not been used at all. That would be nice. But again, keep in mind, early access, quality check, and then export will be the last thing. All right, let's see how much we can actually get done here with the money that we have. We'll probably be close either way. I don't want to get under 250, honestly, just in case. Research doesn't cost any money. I don't think there's even any upkeep with research. I don't think. I think it just, once you buy it, it's done, I think. Let's check that in a minute. Now let's go ahead and get these guys resources so they can at least start building. Oh, nope. Remember, we got to do it in a specific way. I might have screwed that up too, but we'll try it in a minute. See, again, this is where I'm talking about, like a lot of games, early access, like just trying to do simple things like this, the game would be like, I don't know what you want to do. But it's fairly smart in figuring out like, oh, okay, you want to go out to that point and then curve in. I know it might seem like a simple thing, but trust me, a lot of games like this in early access would not have that figured out just yet. So, and this developer does have experience. I wouldn't say games quite like this. Their last game was Democracy. I don't know if you guys have played that one. It's a good one. Let's go ahead and start building this out. Obviously, I want to build this side first so that they can start building. So even if I don't have the money to build this yet, it doesn't matter as much because we're waiting on this side anyway. But we're just about there. So, okay, cool. So they are ready to go. I have to keep an eye out to make sure I didn't screw up the directional arrows. I kind of was haphazard with laying down my conveyor there. See, look how fast the conveyors are going. I love that. I mean, yes, it is on top speed, but now also, if you don't have anything researched, any and all research areas you have like this will, with a big red message, say, you're not researching anything, which is good. Because when you're not researching anything, you're completely wasting time. Let's see if actually there is any expense in research. Wages. Okay, so like it does, there is wages in science. Okay. So that is something to keep in mind. I haven't had it be a big problem. In my last game, I had basically this entire section here, nothing but research. And some areas over here too. I was pumping up like, I want to say almost 10 research at one point. It was, which might not seem like much, but I was researching stuff left and right. And so far, I'm very happy with the strategy. It's working out fairly well. You can also see here when we look at the showroom, when you look at one of these cars, you can click on the individual cars and see what features they have. You can see right now these are missing the keyless entry and the heater, and it's marked as red because multiple manufacturers are offering this. So therefore, this is hurting our value about $500 because there's two different ones. It's not really mattering to us right now because we're just making so many cars, we can just suck up that loss. But later on, it could be an issue. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. I want, again, given our strategy of mass producing things, resources are one of our big things. Getting the resources and getting the resources to the stations as fast as possible. Those are our most important things right now. So I'm keeping an eye out for insufficient resources. I'm seeing them popping up like very quickly on occasion. Let's drop it down to speed too. I want to see if they're really staying up for very long. If they're up for like a split second, I'm not overly concerned because it means they're running out for a very short amount of time. So I'm not really worried. So let's start looking for inefficiencies too. So all of these things are waiting, and it's all waiting on paint. Is that true for all these other ones, or these two? Painting is actually pretty slow. I found in my other game too. A lot of times I ended up waiting on the painters. And another thing I really like about this game, which again surprised me with it being in early access, is the pathing of the cars, if you will, was actually pretty darn smart. So in my last game, I had an issue where the paint shop it was slow. It was holding up my entire lunch line. Like everything was waiting on, it was like backed up for miles waiting for the paint shop to be done. And it had all the upgrades. So what I did was I had a little bit extra space. So I built a little path out from the body shop and I put a second paint section to try to split off the traffic. And the AI was smart enough to split the cars up. A lot of times you see where it's not smart enough to do that. Like, or you have to manually control it or tell it, put a switch in or something stupid like that. This game, that's not a problem. It's smart enough to go, oh, you've got two different lanes to go to two different paint shops. I'll split the cars out evenly so that they'll go to the right section. Beautiful. I love stuff like that. I love not having to worry about stuff like that. And it's so common in games like this. I'm really glad to see that working fine in early access. So we're still slow. Painting is hurting us fairly badly, I would say here. Let's look at the things in front of paint. Yeah, waiting for next vehicle. How about over here? not as bad there. I don't quite understand why that's faster. I don't have any upgrades on the paint shop that's making it faster. But this one, again, waiting for vehicles. So, with that said, our next research point, I'm going to want to put into making that quicker. Now, I can actually stop this now and switch over to something else. You do not lose your research. In fact, let's go ahead and do that just so that it works. But here's the problem. All right, so here's where this is not going to work. Is because to get this upgrade to make the painting go faster, we have to have the specific paint shops, which we don't have now. We have the very general ones. So right now, these are about as good as these are going to get. I could probably put some robots. Actually, let's go ahead and build some robots on these. Yeah, all the robots. So that at least once it gets past painting, it goes through as quickly as possible. Out to the cellar floor. But speeding it up to get it into the paint shop isn't really going to help us at this point. The same issue we had with the what do you call it? The chassis station. So we're going to go ahead and get these going. And we might run into another bottleneck up here, right? With these building faster, it actually might start to back up here finally at the exports, which again, there are upgrades you can get to export faster. Also, hopefully I'm not overwhelming you guys with information or just babbling, because I'm trying to kind of cover what I'm doing while I'm playing it. And every time you have a game like this initially, there's so many things to talk about. It can be overwhelming to both try to talk about it and for you guys to like listen to me going on and on about it. But anyway, hopefully that's not getting too crazy for you guys. Because what I want to do next, I want to go ahead and now that I've got a pretty decent money flow going, let's make sure this actually is working. Make sure I didn't make the same mistakes I made previously. It's going. I'm not putting any robots here just yet. But that's fine. Again, as you can see, chassis is way ahead of everybody else. So this is probably going to be the next area we're going to buy because we need a big space. We might do this one because it'll probably be cheaper. There's an export. I think actually we might go that route because that'll be cheaper. Because the next line is going to be fairly expensive. And we got to do a lot of research as well. So once this is done, we're going to shift our resources or shift our research into the actual slots, right? The enhancements of the slots, so that we actually can increase, so we can actually split all of these up. And you can, like, for example, let's say, if I wouldn't have put these right next to each other, all the different slots, like congruently, if I'd have put some space in between them, what I could have done is said, okay, well, we're going to keep the chassis assembly the same, and I'm not going to destroy the fit body, but what I will do is I'll split off a line, and I'll go over here to a second body shop that is split up. So I could do that. But again, here I just wanted to efficiently make as many cars as possible, as quickly as possible. In fact, you know, I'm not going to, just because it'd be boring to kind of see the same conveyor belt being made again. But honestly, if it was just me, I'd probably make a fourth conveyor belt at this point and pump out even more cars over here. So we still have not backed up export, which is both good and bad. Just because, you know, you want to back it up because it means, oh, I've got so many sales that I don't even have room for them. Let's go ahead and save again. Probably not gonna play for too much longer. For this, at least this initial video, do about an hour. Other videos might be a bit shorter. And I wish this would just tell you the, oh, that's right. You also, and this is kind of a silly research thing that I hope they take out. You have to research the ability to expand, buy expansion for your factory. That's kind of silly. Like, why would I need, what are you researching? They're researching the ability to pay someone money for land? Like, that's kind of silly. I think that should just be default. Like, I think it's, I'm assuming it's there more for game balance reasons, so that you can't take out a whole bunch of loans and then buy a bunch of space. But again, I think you should have that option if you really want to go that route. Because that's one of the big things about this game, or games like this, is having all kinds of different ways that you could approach it, right? To add replayability, because yeah, I mean, this is one way you can use to make money, at least initially. But again, the last game I played, I only had one line, but I focused on having my cars had like a ridiculously huge list of features, and all the competition did not have. So I was able to charge a good premium on my car and made a lot of money that way, even though I wasn't mass producing as many cars. But that's the beauty of stuff like this. All right, so the body specialization is probably going to be one that's going to be the kicker the most. So let's go ahead and get started on that. And I was even thinking, well, maybe we can go ahead and start doing over here. But like I say, when you start splitting up the various sections, it gets really unwieldy really fast. So how do you want to do this? Because I'm thinking, should I buy more research? Because I also need to research the ability to buy an additional area. I think I can research this by, I need to find a term for the specialized slots. Let's call it that. The specialized slots. I think those are fairly inexpensive. So first of all, let me remember where I can do the factory expansion. There it is. This one's a little expensive. Again, I think that's silly. I feel like that should be free. That should not be something you have to research, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and build a few more researchers, hire a few more research nerds, get us some more sweet stuff. And we'll build 3 more. Get a little bit of extra speed in there. I like this music too. Like, it's very, on one hand, it's very much like this doesn't fit a manufacturing job at all, but on the other hand, it feels so very, very right. All right, so we could actually, you know what, let's go ahead and build a little bit of extra robots, because again, we don't want to go ballistic because our paint jobs are what's killing us. So let's go ahead and upgrade these though. We can get the cars out faster, I guess. Mathematically, it probably doesn't really even matter because they're just waiting. They end up waiting anyway. But frankly, I also just like to watch the little robots, all the little robot arms going crazy on the cars. That sells it. Even if it didn't help the efficiency, it's just fun to watch. Yes, go little robots. Make my car army. Make me money. That's what's most important. Make me money. Starting to get a little bit of stockpile in the showroom. I'm not overly concerned about it. In fact, you know what? Let's increase the price a little bit. 45% is, again, where I'm happy. 50% is, and that's the other thing about the price, is that even when I was making cars that had far more features than my competition, people wouldn't spend like that 5% extra. 45% for whatever reason seems to be like really that happy medium. All right, so we want to keep going on and upgrading or unlocking the various slot specializations. And some of the specializations have sub-specializations. So body, for example, the body slot breaks down into body frame and doors. But those, actually I thought it broke down into more than that. It does. The body specialization breaks down into fit, or roof, doors, body frame, bumpers, arches, doors, windows, and mirrors. Body is by far the most intense. So yeah, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, where it gets fairly interesting. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to get to actually building the more advanced system here in this video. But that's all right. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. Since all I'm going to do is research until the point that I unlock all of the sub specializations, all the sub stations, all the sub, what do we call them, slots? I'll go ahead and just do that. There's not going to be anything catastrophic. There's not like events that happen like, car prices have dropped through the floor or anything like that. So I'm just actually going to let the game play out. as I unlock all of the rest of the specializations. And when I pick you guys up in the next video, we will we'll do it. I'm actually gonna leave this at 1, but yeah, we'll leave it there. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Definitely let me know what you're thinking so far, this game and of this series. Let me know, did I talk too fast? Did I overwhelm you with information? Was it just right? Was it too slow? Let me know. Positive, negative, I'm always open to all feedback. Again, as always, don't be a dickhole about it, but definitely open the criticisms, and try to address that in future videos. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in what you guys think. I really like this game so far. This game definitely has that feel, that one more turn feel, right? Obviously there's no turns, but you get what I'm saying. Like last night I was playing this game to kind of research it ahead of time, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna finish this research and I'm gonna stop. Okay, I did that research, but I want to build this and then see what happens, and then I'll stop. Well, okay, I did that, but now I want to do this and see what this does. And that went on for like 2 hours. So already in early access, I feel like I'm going to get my money's worth out of this game. So if this game is up your alley, and I feel like if you're watching it, you know if this game is something you would like, I think you should check it out. I believe, I should have checked the price ahead of time, but I believe it's $15 right now. It is in early access, but again, already from what I'm seeing, I'm very pleased with it. The same developer who did this did Democracy 3, so I don't think he's going to take the money and run at any point. But yeah, I'm definitely more interested in seeing what's going to be coming up with future updates. But yeah, next video, we're going to expand out into a new area, and we'll see what's going on. You see, again, our cars are not selling. Let's go ahead and reduce the price, though. So I guess, see, this is where this is starting to hurt us a little bit, right? So before, when my cars had all the good features, I could sell them at a 45% premium. Not so much now, because we are starting to really fall behind on features. So we gotta start now focusing more, at least making some cars that have those features. But we can also still make these cheaper cars. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Again, leave comments in the comment section below. Also, like the video if you liked it. That does help me out a whole bunch, and I'll see you next time.